Good morning. What a sweet, man. That was so sweet what Angie said. I felt that. I felt deep. That was nice. Okay, so today, can we put up the mom life? That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm hesitant. Sometimes on Mother's Day it's difficult because, it's Mother's Day, but like they've kind of already mentioned, sometimes it's like, well, what about the ones who don't have a mom around still, or have a bad relationship with a mom, or want to be a mom and haven't been a mom yet, and all these types of things. And so sometimes I just really kind of struggle with, how to handle the message, to include everyone, and so it feels like everybody's receiving something. And so, but just for today, I felt like I was texting with Ashley, I don't know how many weeks ago, maybe last week or something. I even forget what we were even talking about, and we were both just like, #mom life, I don't even remember what it was about, and Rachel and I do this a lot, and so I just thought, that's what this is. This is mom life. And I'm going to tie it into, even if you're not a mom or if you're dad or whatever, this is going to be relevant for you. And so what I want to do is I want to say that I felt like when they were singing that part of the song that said, "His thoughts define me," that really ministered to my spirit. And I felt like that's the message that God wants to send today. And I'm just so grateful that the Holy Spirit has brought that up to me, because I have just a short thing to say, but I felt like this is what it is, that His thoughts define me. And so I'm going to show you some pictures of my mom life. And, get rid of my drum. And sometimes what is the biggest thing in our life, we allow it to define us. And so for me, honestly, I go through every single day and I feel like my success or my failures through my day with my children, I really struggle with allowing it to define me. And so for me, that's, because that's my job. That's what I do. I stay at home and I love it. But for you, maybe it is your job. You go to work every day and you struggle with allowing how you perform that day, or the comments from your boss or coworkers or whatever, and you allow that to define you. And I just feel like God is just saying, that is such a lie. The things that, that you're a part of, and the people that's in your life and what they say and what they think, that is not who or what defines you. And so you're just going to break that lie off today and just be so free, like what God's already started doing. I feel like He's just going to finish it here by the end of this, but just be so free to know that regardless of what happens in your day-to-day life, or regardless of how you perform in things, His thoughts and what He thinks and what He says of you is what defines you. What He says is who you are. And so, okay, so we're going to just laugh a little bit. This is just pictures of my life. So the first one we have these 4 beautiful children. And look how sweet and loving and kind they look right there. And they're loving each other, and they're matching, they're so cute, and all that good stuff. Well, so that is truth. That is really a picture. It is not. How many of you have ever made your family take pictures and you're like, you smile? This is a memory we're going to have, and we don't want to forget this time. And you're like, smile right now. We have those, I feel like every year at Christmas Eve, at the end of Christmas Eve service, Aaron and I are sitting up there, we want a picture by that tree so bad, and by that point it's 10:30 and everybody's crying, and I know there's some of you witnessed this, and we're like, just smile, it's not a picture. But this is a really good one, and it's legit, we didn't stage it, but so I just want to paint this picture for me. This is my mom life, okay? Now next is not a picture, but it's an audio clip, and I just want you to listen to this, and this is some of the things that we go through. So hopefully it works.
Hey Chloe, do you want to take a shower? You want to take a shower? That's disgusting, buddy. Stop it.
That's another one starting out. remember what happened, but you can. Oh, you want me to? Should I let it keep going? No. Oh, okay. Oh, she was the other one yelling, "Mommy." So that would have been a really ugly video for you to see. But that was, we came home from the fair. We've been at the fair all day, and I don't know, that was probably like 9 o'clock at night. And it's just like, has anybody ever had those moments where you come home, it's just like this sudden, like, all hell breaks loose. And that is what that's like. And me and him, we're just paced through the house, and we're just like, because we know in 20 minutes, for the next 20 minutes, it's going to be awful. But in 20 minutes, they're going to hit the bed so hard, they're going to be out, and then it's going to be peace and quiet. You know? But in those moments, sometimes you feel like such a failure. You're like, why aren't they controlling themselves right now? It's just crazy. Okay, go to the next. I'm just going to flip through some of these. But okay, so as a mom, you have children with stitches. Keep going. You are tired. You do not sleep. This is Tadassa. You guys know this. I'm just showing you that this is real life. This is not, I think sometimes, you know, people who are in maybe leadership positions or other positions in your life, like, you look at them and like, how do they keep it all together, and how do they, like, you know, and, you know, like, most of the time the Facebook pictures, like, don't really tell you reality of all sorts, you know what I mean? And it's like the Facebook posts are like the perfect pictures all the time. I think Leah said to me once, she's like, you need to do Christmas cards that show, like, the worst, you know, where everybody's crying. I'm like, that's so true. Okay, so this is Sleepless Night. Now look, now you have this opportunity though where like others get to help mother and take care of. This is when Hadassah was a little newborn. Okay. Okay, there's also messes. And this is my stairs down my basement. I don't even know what they were playing, but it just stresses me out. How many of you get stressed out? Like, you see a mess and I just instantly go into panic mode. I'm like, oh my gosh. Because I for some reason think that I'm going to be the one that has to clean it up. I haven't crossed over the like, you made a mess, you cleaned it up. Because I don't know. I forget what we were listening to, but I think it was Danny Silk. He was saying how his wife, and I'm learning this is my personality, so you know, I don't let it dictate me, but I felt a little freedom in finding out, wow, this was okay to have this as part of my personality, kind of. And he said that his wife would come in from being gone, and the first thing she would do would be like, whose book is that? Put that book bag away, pick that up, throw that away, and like not acknowledge anything else. And I mean, I heard that, and I was like, that is me entirely. Like, I come in, and it could be like, it made Aaron so mad that he would have almost everything cleaned up, but like, maybe pillows were out of place or something, and I would just walk over and I'd just grab a pillow and like switch it to how I like it and stuff like that. It's like my mind, my eyes only see those things, and so for me, you know, I love seeing them play, but it just stresses me out. So mom life is stressful. Okay, next. Okay. That is Olivia. She came home from school. How many of you like have ever experienced a time where you've come home, or your kids have come home, or I don't know, even your parents have come home, and they like have a meltdown? And this is what happened. She just had this meltdown out of nowhere. I don't even know what happened. And so all of a sudden she just collapsed on my bed, and the next thing I know she's asleep. You know, it's like, this is real life. Okay, keep flipping. This is them. They're just so cute. I just like the personalities in this one. But you know, this, oh, I know why they wanted that up there. Because, you know, you invest in the things that are important in their lives, you know, and so here they are. My kids are not involved in very much, and so, you know, as they were a little younger, it was easier for them to all do the same thing because they're all girls and they're so close in age, so you could just all send them to the same thing and be done. But I know as they get older, they're going to start doing different things. But this is just part of, you know, it involves sacrifice. And so, I mean, I'm just wanting to pertain this to all areas of your life. Like, it involves sacrifice. When you're leading people, when you're spiritually mentoring, when you're parenting people, it requires sacrifice. Okay, keep going. Oh, you find selfies on your phone? Olivia's the best at it. I mean, as far as she does it all the time. You have fun together. See, isn't that fun? Okay, keep flipping. Oh. This is a child who got into the cabinet, pulled out all the Ziploc baggies. Again, like, I'm stressing out right now looking at it. Okay, keep looking. Laundry? Laundry! I have laundry. I honestly, like, I sometimes let my laundry get to like 6 loads, and Tian and we have texted each other pictures. And we're like, oh my God. It's like the laundry takes over you. So I'm just, you know, I want you guys to see you know that this is my life. Okay, keep going. And then you go to the hospital with another child. Wait, yeah, that's a different one. And that's not the time she broke her arm, but this was just recently when she fell off the monkey bar thingy and hit her face, and then she couldn't open her mouth, so then we're freaking out because we think she broke her jaw. So then we were in the hospital for 4 hours and there was nothing wrong, but praise God, there was nothing wrong. Okay, keep going. And this is blueberries. Again, messes just stress me. Sometimes I will refrain from feeding certain foods because I just don't want the mess. But look at that, she loves blueberries. Okay, keep going. Oh, this is so gross. I'm being so vulnerable showing you this, but I had to prove to you that this is mom life. So I have 4 girls, and at one point I had 2 young adult girls living with me. And so I got the sweeper, right? This is so disgusting, but I'm just, you know, whatever. And so we would get our so I had my sweeper one day and it just started smoking. What is going on? Because it was fairly new and it should not have been smoking. And so finally, I think Aaron or something was like, dude, you have to look at the bottom of it and see, like, there's something in it that's stuck. And I flipped it down like that. But I'm sorry, I didn't know I was supposed to look at this that often. And it was legitimately clogged with hair. Okay? And I kind of blamed Kinder Destiny. I'm not gonna lie. And me, I mean, I have long hair. And so I kind of blamed them. I was like, my gosh, they shed on hair, you know? And so we took care of it, whatever. Well, this was just last week before we went on our little trip. And the sweeper started smoking again. I'm like, oh gosh, no. And so I flipped it over and I'm, look at that, that is hair. I am cutting out of the sweeper. And you know, this is mom life. And now they no longer live with me, so I mean, I'm taking full blame. Chloe has long hair, Olivia's hair is getting longer, and I feel bad for Aaron because that is so disgusting, like hair everywhere. So that's part of mom life. I think I have, is there any pictures left? Oh, look at this. See, this is how they take care of you. They rub your shoulders, they do love you, and they kiss you. Look at that. And then this, of course, is another, I don't think that was a staged photo. I think that was a real one. And so rewarding, so rewarding. I think that's it. Is that it? Is there any more? Nope, wrong line. So I just wanted to give you guys just like, mom life is real. It's real life, man. And so I just, you know, I think I just want to spend like 10 minutes just saying like, this, I can look at so much of this as such a, I look at that, you know, when Evie had her stitches, it was because she rolled down the stairs. Like, I could feel like such a failure for that situation because of, you know, I wasn't paying attention or whatever, and allow it to define me and such. But I don't have time for that. I can't get caught up in that because when I start to think those things, it reproduces on my kids. And so for those of you who maybe aren't moms or aren't dads or whatever, if you're an employer, like it reproduces into your employees. I mean, when we talk about this stuff, it goes throughout. It goes throughout anything that anywhere that you have influence in your life. And so, okay, so what I want to talk about is, in the midst of all of this, where and how, like how in the world do you find time to be intimate with the Father? I don't even know. Because that day that I'm cutting hair out of the sweeper, I actually had set aside some time to spend with God. Because I think the kids were napping or something. And then here this comes. And now I'm spending 30 minutes cutting hair out of my sweeper. Because I'm literally sweeping and like the dirt that sucks in is like what's poofing out. And so I had to do that, you know what I mean? And so I just think for so many of us, like the enemy, what a tactic of the devil. You know, when we know the priority is to be intimate with the Father, but we have all this junk, other things going on. And, you know, for me, it's deep in my heart. It is so deep in my heart. It is a priority. It is my heart to be intimate with the Father. And so sometimes I am hard on myself because I don't get that time, and then I feel bad. So I feel guilty. And then here we go again. Now we're walking through this whole process of now we've failed again, you know, and those types of things. And so I just went through like a season of time, and I'm really still just coming out of it, but for really the past several years, just really struggling, like, I think, you know, battling with like really his thoughts dictating and determining who I am, and allowing other things to determine who I am. And so, just walking through this time of just focusing on, you know, all I'm doing is being a mom, instead of looking at it like, this is amazing that I get to spend all my time being a mom, you know? And so for not just being a mom, but, you know, for those of you like who work full-time and you have this amazing job and this opportunity, instead of saying, I have to go to work today and spend my day doing this, I get to go to work today and I get to be the influencer, I get to pursue God, I get to push forward the kingdom, I get to do these things. And so it's really just a shift in our mind and allowing us to know that his thoughts over us dictates who we are. I love that. I didn't even know that that's where this was going to go. But so I just want to share just a little thing that I was listening to. Cheryl sent me a clip of Stephanie Gretzinger, whom I'm oddly in love with. I think she's amazing. I have a couple people that I'm obsessed with. She's one and Catherine Mullins. I just love them both. I don't know. But anyways, I was listening to this thing that she was speaking on, and I stopped it because, for one thing, I did not want her message to become my message. But she said something that resonated in me. And so I knew that God was speaking it for me for this, because I was praying about this day and what I would speak on. And so she was talking about wanting and trying to be intimate with the Lord, having that time with him. But when you go to do that, or in that process, there's all this junk that's swirling around. And like, how many of you set aside time or make it a priority when you're trying to like just be in the presence of God, and instantly your mind just swirling? So this is kind of what she was talking about. It's just like thoughts coming into your head, and I mean, I battle this so badly. Part of it, I think, is because I'm such a to-do list person, and you know, all this and that. But two, I think I went through this time where I'm like, okay, I gotta stop getting those thoughts. And then I went through this time where I was like, oh, well, those are the thoughts that God is giving me, and that's what I'm going to focus on right now. But I wasn't really satisfied with that, because I was like, okay, that's good, and I'll pray into that. But then it would still kind of prevent me from really just feeling like I was in the presence of God. You know, switching over from praying about things, being in the presence of the Lord. And so I'm now back in this place of like, I just want to sit down and be in God's presence and just spend time with him, be intimate with him, you know? And so as Stephanie was saying this, she said that sometimes, I loved it, this is just so good. She said, sometimes it's gross, but it's good. You have to vomit before you can swallow. It's gross, but it's so true. And she was talking about the process of, you know, spitting things out and just vomiting out all the stuff. So I think a lot of times the stuff that's swirling around in here when we're trying to be in the presence of God is just the stuff that we just need to vomit out and get it out. And sometimes we're just trying to push it to the side instead of just getting it out. And she was talking about just when like you go into that time and want to be in the presence, just like what does it look like just to let that all out on God? Why do we try to push it to the side and avoid it, thinking we don't need to deal with that right now, and then try to get in God's presence? Well, he's our Father. He wants to hear about our struggles. He wants to hear about what our thoughts are. He already knows our thoughts before we even say them. So I just want to encourage you that, like, it's okay to just vomit it out before we swallow. If I have all those things swirling right here, I can't take in anything that he's trying to give me because I've got all this going on. And so that was just so powerful to me. And that's just kind of, today, that's the message. The message is, get out the junk before you try to take in the presence, because you're just going to feel so frustrated if you don't. And I was thinking, the Lord was giving me like the story of Ruth and Naomi, and I don't know. I was trying to think about it. I was just studying on Naomi and stuff, and I'm not exactly sure how that story ties into this point, but I do know this, and as I was reading up on it and stuff like that, you know, when Naomi left her and her husband left their land and went to a land that wasn't theirs. And while they were there, you know, I'll just briefly go over the story. She lost her husband. She lost her two sons. The two sons that were married, so she had her two daughter-in-laws. So Naomi loses her husband and loses her two sons. So it's just Naomi and her two daughters. And she was also she was bitter because she was gone from her homeland, for one. But she was also upset and bitter and focusing on the things that her husband's gone, her sons are gone, now what? She was upset because she felt like she had no one around her that was her people. She was upset because she felt like her God wasn't there with her. So she had a lot of this stuff that was going on that she really needed just to vomit out. And so she decides that she's going to go back to her land. And Ruth and the other one, I forget her name, they were gonna follow and go with her. And so Naomi says no, like she's encouraging them to stay back because I think for one thing, like she knew what she felt when she went away from her homeland, because the daughter-in-laws were people from this other land. And so she was encouraging them to stay back so that they didn't probably have to suffer and go through the same struggles and resentments and bitterness and things like that she did. So she was encouraging them to stay back. So one of the daughter-in-laws stays back, but Ruth follows Naomi and goes with her. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, as horrible and grouchy and angry as Naomi sounded, Ruth still must have seen the gold in her and seen the promise in her and seen what she was carrying, because she chose to follow and stay with her. So I value that, and I think too it's important for us to realize that as we mom, as we mother, as we spiritually guide, even as we father, as we parent, as we are bosses and our for our employees and things, it's so important to know that people are watching us. There's no pressure, but we have people who are following us, and two, I think it's important for us that we represent God the Father well. And so even times when God is so gracious, that people will still see the grace in us when we screw up. Like my kids, they love me no matter what. They see the good in me, even at times when all I'm doing is flailing and yelling, and they're just like, what is wrong with you? And still they would follow me. I know that they would. I know that they would follow me. And so what ends up happening is, so Naomi and Ruth, obviously they go back, and just long story short, the family was restored. This is something that I guess I didn't know before, but as I was studying this, I realized that, as Naomi was so bitter because she didn't think she'd have a genealogy because she left her land, it got restored to her because Ruth found Boaz, and he was from Naomi's homeland, so to speak. And so then they get together, they have a son. Did you know that their son's son was Jesse, and then Jesse had David? And I was like, that is incredible. And so it linked me to David, and as I was thinking about David, I was thinking about in Psalms, if you go to Psalms, these are really not verses, other than the story of Naomi, but if you go to Psalms 13, I just want to give you an example of, David was a great example of, we kind of remember David as like the man after God's heart, which he was, and then we also remember David as the one who danced his clothes off for the Lord because he was praising himself. But do we remember the part that David vomited before he swallowed? He spewed out, and it says in Psalm 13, it says, "O Lord, how long will you forget me? Forever? How long will you look the other way? How long must I struggle with anguish in my soul, with sorrow in my heart every day? How long will my enemy have the upper hand? Turn and answer me, O Lord my God. Restore the sparkle to my eyes, or I will die. Don't let my enemies gloat, saying we have defeated him. Don't let them rejoice at my downfall." So he spews all this, and then he says, "But I trust in your unfailing love. I will rejoice because you have rescued me. I will sing to the Lord because he is good to me." I just felt like today that there's freedom in dumping things out at the feet of the cross. There is so much freedom in that. And two, he does it again in Psalms, 22? And just going to read 1 through 5, but it says, my God, why have you abandoned me? Why are you so far away when I groan for help? Every day I call to you, my God, but you do not answer. Every night I lift my voice, but I find no relief. Yet you are holy, enthroned on the praises of Israel. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you rescued them. They cried out to you and were saved. They trusted in you and were never disgraced. Again, I feel like there's something to that. Sometimes we just want to make ourselves so holy to come to God and just be in his presence, that we stuff down everything that's really swirling around, and we never get it out, and it prevents us from really going deep in the heart of the Father. And so there's Psalm 22 that he was saying, and then if you go to Psalms 23, that's that whole chapter on the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. That whole thing where he's just going on and on about the goodness of the Lord. And so today I just I'm gonna have some music. I want some music to play. It's only 12:40, got time, but so some people can come and do some music, but I just want to give you permission to come and dump. Now I know that or Culture of Honor says, don't dump on people, but this isn't people, this is God. And He already knows what we got going on. So I think that there's freedom in dumping it out and just vomiting all of that out so that we can just be filled up to receive. And so it's not just for moms, but I have listed on here business owners. That was really speaking to me when I was taking my notes. I just felt like business owners and people who hold high positions in offices or your jobs, workplaces, those types of things. That was really speaking to me. I have on here PTA mom. I mean, how many of you know that there's this mom that's a friend of mine from way back when, but she's on my Facebook, and this mom posts things like, got up at 4 a.m. and then she lists everything that she had done by 6 a.m. And I'm like, I am a failure. That's the thoughts are. You're like, holy cow, I'm a failure. I wasn't even up at 6 a.m. But it's I don't care who you are or what position you have, if you're a grandma or grandpa, you have adopted children, if you have spiritual children, whatever that looks like let's dump out. I'm giving you the permission and the freedom right now. Just please, just take 10 minutes. And I wanted to open up the altar just, for moms, but for everyone else too, just to come up and just take 5-10 minutes. Let's just say 10 minutes, just to pour out and dump out on God. And if you're not sure, if you have anything you need to dump out, I guarantee you that if you just take a minute and press in, instantly things are gonna start flowing. And you just let God just take it, and so that you can just spend that time with Him, that presence time with Him, because without the presence time, everything else is just gonna bloop, and I just know that, right? So we're just gonna have some music, and will you stand? Let's stand. We're just gonna take about 10 minutes, and I'll pray, and then I just want to open this up. Just come and just pour out. I like all my worship. I think that's a good one for this. And as we were even singing that, I'm thinking, it was like God said to me, all of one person's worship doesn't look like another person's worship. And two, we can get to deeper levels of all of our worship as we dump things out. Right? He loves a small piece of our worship. He enjoys all of our worship. And as we pour out our junk and just dump it out, man, it allows us to deeper levels of all of our worship for Him. And so just know that whatever you dump out doesn't look like what somebody else is dumping out. His thoughts for you is what defines you. And so we're going to pray, and then I'm going to open this up to come up and just dump out, vomit before you swallow, I guess. So, God, right now, we just open up our hearts in a vulnerable place for you, God. We say yes to just dumping out things, Lord, at your feet, just giving them to you, God, and allowing ourselves just to be open to receive a deeper piece of your heart, a deeper piece of your presence, God. We thank you for this chunk of time right now, God, that we set aside for you right now, Lord. Just an opportunity just to pour out, just to dump our junk. Lord, I just thank you that as this process happens, God, we walk out fuller. We walk out in freedom. God, we walk out feeling a deeper love from you, a deeper stamp of the identity that you've called us into, God. We just thank you, God, that we have this opportunity right now. I thank you, God, that this is priority for us right now. It's a priority for us right now just to dump things out, Lord, so that we can just go deeper and deeper